RJ Davis has become one of the most accomplished and beloved Tar Heels of all time. What's he about to do for a victory lap?
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shea, joined by our good buddy, Coach Pat Kilby, and you're joining us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're sincerely grateful to you for making us your first listen or watch of the day, and we want to send a special shout out to all the everydayers out there, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and the brand new Locked On Tar Heels Insiders. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Today on the show, we are wrapping up the scholarship portion of our roster preview series pack. It's hard to believe it, but it is week 12. We've hit the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors. We didn't hit the seniors because there are no four-year seniors on this team, but there are three graduate level seniors. We started with Ty Claude. Last week we went a little Jay Witt action, and today it's the man RJ Davis. We're talking about his last hurrah. There is no more. This is it. This is all. Pat Kilby, you who have been the conductor of the RJ Davis fan train, the believer in RJ Davis train from day one, you, my friend, hit us with that RJ Davis Bioblast.
It's an honor to do the RJ Davis Bioblast. RJ from White Plains, New York, Archbishop Stepinac High School, 5th year. This is his graduate senior year. He used his COVID eligibility. Position, he is a guard, 6 foot tall, weight 180 pounds, jersey number 4. Twitter is Ari Davis _ Ari is ARII Davis _ and Instagram is the same, ARII Davis _
All right, Pac, what score we? So, folks, we always score the social media handles. We're looking at consistency. We're looking at understandability, ease of use of recognizing who it is. Pac, what are you giving this one 1 to 10?
I'm going to give him a 7. Now, it's not his name. It's not just his name. So he loses points for that. But Twitter and Instagram are the same.
There's consistency.
There's some consistency. I'll give him a 7 for it. What about you?
I'm going to bump it down. The underscore at the end is a tough thing, you know, and so I've actually never done the work to figure out like where this comes from. I'm sure there's something to it, or it's just something he created in like junior high and is like RJ Davis basketball guy 189 at hotmail.com or something like that. But the underscore, man, that hurts it at the end. I'm giving it a 5. So there we go. Pac. All right. Bioblast now. Let's get the 23-24 statistical information about your reigning ACC Player of the Year.
37 games played, 37 started, 34.8 minutes per game, 21.2 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists, 1.5 turnovers per game, which is a career low for him, 0.2 blocks per game, 1.2 steals per game. Plus minus total was plus 385. That's pretty good. Field goal percentage, 42.8%, which is 260 makes on 607 attempts, 16.5 attempts per game. More of that, please. I love seeing him get the ball towards the basket 16 times a game. That's great. Two-point field goal percentage is 45.5%, 147 of 323 from the field on 6.7 attempts per game. 39.8% from the three-point line, 113 out of 284 attempts, 7.7 attempts per game. Free throw line, we all know he's been remarkable, 87.3% from the free throw line. He was 151 out of 173 attempts on 4.7 attempts per game.
I mean, all-time season for Carolina. It was just something to absolutely marvel at and behold. I don't know what to say. We talked about it. I said it in the cold open. What's he going to do for a victory lap? And here's why I phrased it that way. My dad is a big fan of bicycle racing, watches the Tour de France very faithfully every year. And one of the things I came to learn through just watching it along with him in my childhood is the very last day of the Tour de France is like, it's all said and done, and they just kind of ride together and hang out. They go through the Arc de Triomphe and all that fun stuff, and it doesn't even really matter. The winner's essentially already won. And I think about this as that kind of thing for RJ Davis. Obviously, he wants to compete. We want to win tons of basketball games, him have great statistics. But I just love that this is a victory lap for RJ when it's like, dude, what's going to be the icing on the cake this year? How is he going to put an exclamation point on this incredible career that he's had? And Pac, as I said earlier, you have been this dude's champion from the get-go. You've never wavered from that. And so I want to ask you to start this show right now. When it's all said and done, when we get to May of 2025, what is going to be the legacy of RJ Davis?
Yeah, man. So I think RJ, first of all, it's exactly what you said. I've been on RJ's train since the day he committed to Carolina. I love his game and what he does. He's the guard that I was telling you this before the show, but to everyone else, RJ's the guard that his emotions never change. He's always consistent. And I love that about him. And it's been that way forever. He's never too high. He's never too low. And I think that's been really impactful. But when you look at his legacy, what I see is a guy that, along with Armando, transitioned from Roy to Hubert and made that transition as special as it was. And really has, in a lot of ways, given Carolina the footing that they've needed in order to set Coach Davis up for success in the beginning of his tenure. And you can take a step back all the way to the magical national championship run in Coach Davis's first year. That does not happen, period, without RJ Davis. He was such an integral part of that. And then, obviously the next year everybody's back and it's a letdown of a year, but RJ sticks it out whenever it was in question whether or not he was going to, because of the kind of the disconnect between him and Caleb. But RJ stuck around and he did what he did last year, which was a record type season as the leader of this team. And now he's back, like you said, for this last leg. And I think ultimately what we see when it's all said and done is that RJ is one of the best players that's came through Carolina. And I think he's going to have the stats to back it up.
He already does. He already does. Yeah. And he's going to further cement that. Nobody shoots the rock like RJ. He can flat fill it up. He scores the ball really well. And he's just the perfect guard for what we need. And this year is really cool because he's going to be more than likely, unless we miss something here, he's going to be playing with more space now than he's ever played with, which, as we all know, the scorer that he is and what he can do with the basketball is a dangerous thought, and he could be, further cement the legacy he already has. But what a testament to him, that he's stuck it out, that he's transitioned from the legend that Coach William was into the Hubert Davis era and gave us the footing we needed to really grow there. There's a lot of positive things that can be said about what RJ's done as a player at Carolina. And there's going to be people who talk about, we played 5 years, asterisk, whatever. And sure, maybe you do that for some of this year's stats, but already, like, if he hadn't come back, this dude would be an absolute legend. And so we look at that and recognize it. Pac, I want to ask you one more question. And then I've actually got just a bunch of scattershot, like, we're going to fire through some record type things, some stats and numbers, and kind of just try to reckon with this legacy a little bit more. But even despite everything that RJ did throughout his whole career, but last year, in that crazy year where he was ACC Player of the Year, consensus first team All-American, all of that, no basketball player, no athlete is ever fully formed. Michael Phelps could always keep working. Michael Jordan could always keep working. That said, what can RJ do to have an even better year? How can he continue to grow as a basketball? Gosh, if he could grow as a human to 6'3", we wouldn't be having this conversation because he'd already be in the NBA. But what can he do this year to grow as a basketball player?
The thing is like, for me, when I look at RJ's game, there's not you can't just point to it and be like, now that's just straight up weakness, right? Like he does a lot of things really well. And I think, a lot of people would say, well, RJ could get better defensively for sure. I'm not a huge believer in that. I think his size hinders him defensively,
Sure.
not his heart, his effort, and his skill. Like he's always in the right spot and he plays hard and he keeps the ball in front. Sometimes his size just causes him to lose battles. But where I think he can grow is, have you ever seen those people in life that like they've made all their money, so then they decide to start helping other people make money? That's kind of how I feel about RJ's game. Like he's mastered the art of scoring. Now it's going to be his job to not only score, but to create for others. Because we learned last year, we need the balance to be effective down the stretch.
Yeah. It can't be just him.
It can't be. And we saw that in the Alabama game when he went 0 for 9 from 3, and we were all going, what do we do? We need someone else to step up. And we did have balance last year. I mean, I'm not saying we didn't. We had Harrison and Cormac and Armando, and there was balance there. Yeah. But we need that this year because we don't have Harrison and Cormac and Armando anymore. So for RJ to grow, this is going to be a team that he has to take over and bring along and create that consistent balance across the board with the pieces that we have in place. And I think another area where RJ can grow is in his leadership. He's talked about it before. He's not naturally a vocal leader, but he's got that role because of his ability and his longevity at Carolina as a player. And he's a guard in a system that the guards are extremely important. And so just growing as a leader and teaching the guys that he's going to be leaving behind how to carry that on also will be a huge piece for him. But if he grows in those areas, man, I mean, I don't know that you could say he has a weakness. He's that good of a ball player.
Oh, man. Well, I'm so excited to see RJ this year. I just don't know what to expect, what he's going to do. It's going to be absolutely crazy. So, Pack, there's a lot of records that this dude could break. He could become Carolina's all-time leading scorer. He could become Carolina's all-time leading free throw shooter, three-point shooter, all these things. And oh, by the way, did you know that this man has never missed a game in his Carolina career? We're going to talk about all that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel. You heard me talk so much about FanDuel this summer. It's America's #1 sportsbook. And this summer I was telling you about how FanDuel would give you an extra boost or a bonus every single day. Well, now I got something a little bit different for you, because now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. How about some Wooden Award odds as we're talking about our guy, RJ Davis? Hunter Dickinson from Kansas actually has the best odds right now at plus 550. But then RJ Davis and Alabama's Mark Sears are tied at plus 600, followed by a guy named Caleb Love, who we know and love, and Janai Broom from Auburn at plus 1600. If you want to get in on any of that action, and if you want to get this YouTube TV trial, go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Going to live events, there really is just nothing like it. Music, theater, comedy, or now that it's finally the fall, man, we are back in football season. College basketball is coming soon. There's really nothing like it. And I'm looking forward to making all new memories this college sports season. Well, great news. When you're getting tickets for this year, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time. So whether it's Game Time ticket coverage, the lowest price guarantee, or the panoramic views of seats in your app, Game Time has got you covered. In fact, how about tickets for the game coming up this Saturday? You can get it on the Carolina side around the 5-yard line for $71. Or if you don't mind sitting behind the James Madison bench, you can get like 4th row on the 30-yard line for $73. That's incredible. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Pack, let's have some fun talking some of the stats and data and things we can watch for from RJ this year, because there's some records that could be set, some of them even very early in the season. But one of the things that you just mentioned in the last segment was the better balance that Carolina needs to have in order this year, I would say, to best utilize RJ's efficiency. Last year on the team, RJ was playing, let me get back to it, 34.8 minutes per game. I know that Carolina is going to still need to rely on him heavily, but what does that balance look like? What is the ideal, in your mind, minutes per game this year for RJ?
I think early on in the season, I think somewhere between 28 and 30 minutes per game is ideal. As we get deeper into ACC play and certainly in tournament play, I'm all in for 35 minutes a game. Like what Carolina fan wants him off the court? Nobody does. Right. So
right.
As we get deeper into the season, I'm fine with that. But early on, and as we, allow the other guards to develop and find their niche within the system, I think, somewhere between 28 and 30 minutes per game for RJ is perfect.
I like that. Yeah, that makes sense. Keep tread. It's football season right now. We're talking about like how many carries Omarion Hampton should have so that he's fresh towards the end of the season, right? Like that's the goal, that's the aim, and we're going to see what happens with that. Pat, let's go to this next, because despite that massive usage rate last year, despite the fact that he's playing those 34 minutes per game, as you said earlier, he had his lowest career turnovers per game. In fact, his turnover percentage for the season was 7.4%. That's insane. How is it that this dude, who's taken, 16 shots a game, has the ball in his hands all the time, has a crazy high usage rate, lowered his turnovers last year? How does that happen?
Well, I think a lot of it's because he's taking 16 shots a game. He's not having to pass it a whole bunch.
It's a good word.
Yeah, but honestly, that does have something to do with it. Shots on goal. If you're shooting that much, you're not gonna be turning the ball over as much. But the reality is RJ. A lot of it's experience, right? He's been playing for so long that he knows how to value the ball, what's going to work, what's not, where to put passes, especially, when you talk about entering them to the post or different things like that. He reads those things well. But, the other thing with RJ, and maybe one of the most underrated parts of his game, the dude can handle the rock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like his dribbling ability is phenomenal. He's really good with the ball in his hands. So, and his decision-making is improved just over the course of time. He's played 4 seasons now. So his decision-making, his experience, the amount of shots he gets, the way he handles the ball, I think all of that factors into the fact that he just doesn't turn it over a lot. And the thing is it's not that – I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility for him to be at that percentage again this year.
Yeah.
Just because,
especially because Elliot should be handling the ball even more this year and will be on the floor even more this year, right? Like, and if not, that's an issue, and Carolina will not be as good as they could be.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, let's go to this one next. As we all know, Tyler Hansbrough is the leading all-time scorer at Carolina with 2,872 points, obviously in 4 years. Armando Bacot is second, 2,347. Phil Ford third, 2,290. Sam Perkins fourth at 2,145. In fifth already is RJ Davis at 2,088. Pack, this is a stat that we picked up on like immediately after the season last year. But last year, RJ scored 784 total points. That is the 4th highest total ever in Carolina program history. If he did that exact thing, if he scored 784 points again, he would finish his career tied with Tyler Hansbrough atop the leaderboard. Yes or no? Does he break Tyler Hansbrough's record this season?
Oh, I'm going to say yes. For one, you guys know, we've talked about it already. I'm RJ guy all the way through and through. But I think we're going to make a deep run in postseason. So I think we're going to get a lot of games in this year, and I think that RJ is going to fill it up equally to what he did last year. And the thing is, he's on everybody's radar, right? Like it's going to be, in theory, tougher for him to score, but I just don't see how people can really game plan around for him like that with the other weapons that we have on the roster. So I still think he's going to have a big year, and I'm taking him to break the scoring record.
I love it. Well, and it's not like he's sitting around not thinking of moves and counter moves and working like crazy on that. I think that with the spacing being better, I think there's lots of things that lead to him having opportunity to do so. And yes, while we hope that Carolina won't have to rely on him as much, this dude's going to continue to absolutely fill it up. Pack, here's the next one. 3-point shooting. Right now, Marcus Paige is the all-time leader at Carolina with 299 made threes. No Tar Heel has ever hit 300 threes in their career. RJ right now is sitting at 274. That's 25 3-pointers behind what Marcus Paige has. Last year, RJ hit 3.1 3-pointers per game. Pat Kilby, how long is it into this season? How many games is it going to take for RJ to make 26 threes and be the all-time leading 3-point maker at Carolina with 300?
Well, he's going to light Kansas up for about 8 of them. So I'm going to say 8 games in. I think he hits the 300 mark at 8 games.
I like it. Man, that'd be crazy. Also, speaking of that Kansas game, you think Roy's going?
Absolutely. And if he's not wearing Carolina gear, I'm going to have a conversation.
Yeah, if he's got that massive Jayhawk on his lapel like it. Yeah, that's going to be incredible. Okay, here's this one. How many points per game do you think RJ Davis averages this year? As a reminder, freshman 8.4, sophomore 13.5, junior 16.1, last year 21.2 points a game.
I'm going to take him for like 22 and a half points per game.
Okay. Yep. I like it. Just a slight uptick. Yep. That's good. Okay. 2 more of these things. Will RJ Davis, Pat Kilby, finish his career as the all-time leading free throw shooter by percentage? As of right now, interestingly, so I have in my thing minimum 50 made, which actually has allowed Cormac Ryan to jump into first place all time. He made 83 of 95 last year for 87.4%. If you up that threshold to 100, it would make RJ the leading free throw shooter ever, with Shamond Williams just behind him. RJ right now, 85.8%, Shamond right behind at 84.8%. Yes or no, when he finishes his career, he will be the all-time leading free throw shooter?
Yes. I don't see, knock on wood, I don't see a world where he's not like 87% or better.
Yep. Last year, he was 87.3. The year before, 88.1. And last year, he was so hot in the beginning and really cooled off as the season wore on, cooled off to the tune of 87%. All right, Pac, one last thing before we move on and then start making some other predictions. RJ Davis, I actually noticed this coming off of the national championship run where Carolina was the runner-up in 21-22. At that point, heading into their junior years, neither RJ Davis or Caleb Love had ever missed a game in their career. I tweeted it out. I talked about it, and people got big mad because I clearly jinxed them, and they were going to get injured in both missed games. Well, guess what? Neither of them missed a game their junior year. I don't know what happened last year at Arizona because, frankly, I'm not paying attention. But last year, still, RJ Davis has not missed a single solitary game as a Tar Heel. In his 4 years, Carolina has played 138 games. In his 4 years, RJ Davis has played 138 games. Pac, I'm not asking you to make a prediction about that because I don't even want to begin to entertain that. But for someone who a lot of people talk about as diminutive or undersized or whatever, this Roy Williams type tough little nut has never sat out. What does that say to you about RJ Davis and his makeup, both physically and mentally?
Yeah, just resiliency, toughness. I don't know if everyone has a true appreciation for how tough that is. You think about the course of a season, somewhere between, 33 and 36-ish games usually, or so, 35 to 40 games. And to not miss a game in 4 years, that's remarkable. it says a lot about him too. The competitive nature, the toughness, the mental fortitude, all the things. It's impressive.
Okay, man, I absolutely love it. Okay, Pat Kilby, we're going to talk about RJ's expected role and place on the depth chart. I don't think that's going to be a very long conversation. We're going to talk about our bold predictions for RJ and can he win National Player of the Year? We'll get to all of that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Roy. Hey, Tar Heels fans, have you heard about Roy? It stands for Return on You, and it's a new platform that lets you, the fans, get involved in NIL like never before by making contributions directly to your favorite athletes. By supporting players directly, you can help shape rosters, retain talent, and keep your favorite athletes out of the transfer portal. And as you all know, NIL has changed the game for athletes. Roy changes the NIL game for fans. Why use Roy? Well, let me give you two really neat reasons. Number one, exclusive content access. When fans contribute to a successful campaign, they receive access to exclusive content from the athlete, such as their announcement decision, behind the scenes footage, and other personal reflections. Or how about the no-risk contributions? Your contributions are securely held and only distributed if the athlete makes the decision that aligns with your support. If not, the money comes right back to you. So download Roy for iOS or Android and enter referral code LOCKEDON, and you'll automatically be entered into a sweepstakes to win $5,000 cash. Visit joinroy.com for additional details. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Get the Roy app for iOS or Android and start making an impact on your favorite team. Again, use referral code LOCKEDON for an opportunity to win $5,000 cash. Visit joinroy.com for more details. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Get off the sidelines and into the NIL game with Roy. We've talked a lot on this show, Pack, about RJ himself and his individual accolades. But as you referenced earlier with how cool a customer he is, all these things, all this dude cares about is winning basketball games. And so that's the point I want to bring up next, is that while so many of us, you, me included, have made such a big deal about what Carolina doesn't have in the front court this offseason, I think at times it's caused us to forget to make a big enough deal about what Carolina does have in the backcourt. Because with RJ Davis, man, he is like a Kemba candidate, right? Like he has the ability to go out and single-handedly win you games at any point in any season and can go on ridiculous runs. In your opinion, are we unfairly not giving enough credit to just how much this backcourt can do, led by RJ Davis, to win Carolina a crap ton of basketball games this year?
Yeah, I think I don't know if Carolina fans are not, or us in general, are not giving enough credit to the backcourt, but nationally, nationwide, I think we're underrated in that sense. And you've heard me say it on here a million times. Guard play wins in college basketball, and in particularly in March. And I don't know. I mean, maybe Kansas, maybe Alabama can match up with our backcourt. I'm still taking Carolina just based on overall talent and depth in the backcourt. But I think our backcourt is the best in the country, and it's definitely. I wouldn't even say like it could potentially win us a lot of games. It's definitely going to win us a lot of basketball games because, I like to look at it like this. If our front court, they don't even have to win their matchups. If they just break even or even slightly lose,
that's still enough. Yeah.
It's enough because our backcourt is going to bring us along, and they're going to be good enough for us to win a lot of games. Now, some of those may have to be more grinded out than what we would like, but our backcourt is going to win us games, and they're that talented, and they're led by the guy we're talking about, RJ Davis.
Yeah. Pack, I'd like to ask you something about the X's and O's of how he does what he does to help the untrained eye, maybe myself included, be able to, you were talking there about appreciating everything he does. When you're number one on the scouting chart for the other team, everyone's gunning for you. We saw the double teams, things like that last year. Can you help give an appreciation for what it is we should be watching that RJ does so well, almost in like a Steph Curry sort of way, to be able to unlodge himself and unlatch himself from defenders to still be able to score?
Yeah. So like from the X's and O's perspective, obviously a lot of what Coach Davis does is to get RJ the basketball. But from the opponent's perspective, they're trying to take all that away. And a lot of times they do. That's what makes RJ special. Like when RJ is really in his bag and it's just him and a defender, and he hits that little like crossover step back 15 to 18 foot mid-range pullover, and it's just nothing but nylon. That right there is like, those are the things that we need to learn to appreciate about RJ, because that's not anything that Coach Davis drew up. We did what he wanted and it didn't work. And now RJ's been tasked with going and getting a bucket, and he does that really well. And that's kind of the Steph Curry aspect of his game, is that he can hit really tough shots. And it doesn't matter if your hand is in his face or not. If he gets a sliver of space, he can fire it up, and it's, there's a 40 to 50% chance it's going in. And so, and the other thing about RJ too is that if he does for some reason catch one cleanly and is, semi open to open, I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like it's almost a guarantee that it's going in, right? Like he's become that good at his craft.
It's more shocking when it doesn't.
Yeah, and so he's that good at his craft, and so it's really just a testament to his ability to create on his own and finish and hit tough shots, despite the opponent's best efforts to take those things away.
Man. Pack. RJ Davis, let's not even say his place on the depth chart. It's number 1 through 13. I mean, he is the depth chart. But talk about his role, because obviously we know what he's going to do as a basketball player, but just how important is the gravity that he brings to this team?
Yeah, so
and let me add one thing, particularly with Armando's role gone.
Yeah, that's a big key, because RJ's the one guy on our team that has just a ton of experience, and he's going to be a key in transitioning to a new style of play. And a lot of it's the same because it's still going to run through him, but a lot of it's different because, like you just said, there's no Armando there. And that's why I talked about earlier, for RJ to really grow his game, he's got to create for others and bring them along too and create that balance. And so I think, the big thing with RJ is going to be him bringing that along, that yes, still get yours and create and score when we need you to, for sure, but opening up avenues for others to succeed. And when we finally hit that balance, it may take a little bit of time. I think that's going to help RJ, right? Like when everybody else is doing their thing and they're comfortable and he's created for them, well, all that does is open up RJ even more to do his thing. And so he's definitely kind of the key that's going to make this happen. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he takes on the role and just leads us into this new, at least what we predict to be a newer style of play.
Yeah. Pat, RJ Davis, last year, if Zach Edey doesn't win National Player of the Year, it's probably either RJ or Dalton Connect. This year, he's going to be on every preseason first-team All-American that is of any legitimacy anyway. I think a lot of people will probably go for Hunter Dickinson as their preseason Player of the Year. Blue Ribbon Sports went with Mark Sears. As you look at our friends at FanDuel, the odds are Dickinson plus 550, RJ and Mark Sears tied at plus 600, and then it just falls off a cliff to anybody else. So let's just look at those top three. It's funny, actually, the next best is Caleb Love. But of those top three, Pack, when you look at this, is there a world where, it's mid-April and we're talking about RJ Davis as the 24-25 National Player of the Year?
There's absolutely a world. And to be honest, my personal opinion here, I don't think Hunter Dickinson can touch Sears or RJ Davis.
I agree. I think it's those two guards. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, Dickinson's a fine player and all. He's not those two. And so I think it comes down to Sears and RJ. And frankly, I think there's definitely a world where RJ wins it. And we could be talking about the matchup between Alabama and Carolina, how that went as a potential deciding factor. So that's something to keep an eye on. But I think RJ is going to be right in the middle.
Man, I mean, how many times did Mondo absolutely cook Hunter Dickinson? I was just never like, he is a fine basketball player. I'm with you. He is not RJ Davis and he is not Mark Sears. And like, I've got no animosity to Mark Sears. I think he's a phenomenal basketball player and I love watching him. And I'm excited to see those guys go head to head again. Although I can't remember how we matched up, if we had RJ or Elliot on him last year in the Sweet 16. I'll have to go back and look at that. Pack, let's make some bold predictions. And then we'll get out of here. You want to go first or you want me to?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My bold prediction, and I don't know, maybe this isn't bold enough because I think it's a true reality that a world where we could be living in. But I think my bold prediction is simple: national championship. I think RJ puts the team on his back. We go win it all. He's deserving of it. And he's the type, you mentioned it earlier, he's the Kimba type guy. He can go get us a bucket when we need a bucket. He can win us a lot of games in March, and I think he.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I like that you went with a team bold prediction because I went with an individual bold prediction. And because I think all of these on their own are achievable, I kind of turned it into a little bit of a parlay here. So hang with me. RJ, here's my bold prediction. And again, these are things probably guaranteed to go wrong, but with RJ, ceiling's the roof. So here we go. Unanimous National Player of the Year, who breaks Tyler Hansborough's career scoring record, hits 40% of his threes still. Isn't that weird? RJ has not ever hit 40% of his threes in a season. But you know what's funny, Pack? You know, he went 0 for 9 in that last game, finished 39.8%. Had he literally hit one more, he would have been at 40.1% last year. That's even more of a gut punch. All right, so unanimous National Player of the Year, breaks Tyler Hansborough's scoring record, hits 40% of his threes, and resets his own made three-pointers record for a single season that he set last year with 113. So in order for me to hit this, it's got to be all four parts of that parlay coming together. Pat Kilby, I want to give you the final word on your guy, RJ Davis, and then I'll get us out of here.
Yeah, man. God, what a fun career, right? Like he's going to go to my all-time favorite players, and I just love it. I think he's a great guard, but most importantly, and I always talk about this, he's an awesome Tar Heel, right? Great for the community, been great for the program. He's been a great example. He's a Mr. Do-It-All, and just been really cool to watch him grow and develop as a Tar Heel, and look forward to seeing what he's got in his last season.
Man, here. Well said. Folks, if you haven't subscribed to the show on video and audio, man, we don't want you to miss out. You know, coming up on Saturday, I'll have a live post-game reaction immediately following NC Central. So you want to make sure you don't miss a second of that. You can, in fact, hit that bell notification on YouTube, so it'll send you a notification when I go live. You just tap right on in there. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, we'd love to have you join us there, where we talk Tar Heels literally every day on that Discord. It's free to join. The links in the show notes. Come for the Tar Heels, stay for the community. Also, you have an opportunity to join the brand new Locked On Tar Heels Insider program, where you can chat with me one-on-one through text message. I like just back and forth whenever, questions, I'll answer them, whatever you want to do. I say send a daily reminder about the show and what's going on, all sorts of great stuff. You have free access to my stats, my charts, all of that math stuff that I love so much. Free access to that. All it costs you is $5 a month. You get a free 2-week trial to check it out. It's a great way to help support the program. All right, you guys, you know the drill. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll be back again tomorrow, but until then, peace.